Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Empty Nest Creations. My name is Wendy Fuller. Thank you for joining me tonight as we craft. We're going to be making a spring floral design using a candlestick. So let me get this pulled up on my phone real quick and then we'll get started. I hope you've had a good Monday. Okay, here we go. All right, so if you're watching live, please let me know that you're watching, and you can share a comment where you're watching from and how your Monday went. So today we're going to be using this candlestick. I've had this one for a couple of years. I bought it already painted like this. So it's already got some distressing on it, and I'm not going to change any of that. And we're going to create a floral design in here. So we're going to do something with this in just a minute. But to get started today, we're going to use one of these birds that I got from the Dollar Tree. These were just $1. I mean, not at Dollar Tree, Dollar General. These were $1 at Dollar General, and I've got one that I've already started working on. So let me turn my camera down a little bit so you can see what we're doing, and we'll get started working. Okay, so on this one, I want it to be seen from the front and the back. So the back of these is just that pressed board material. So I went ahead and painted it, and I used a napkin on this side to Mod Podge the napkin on, and we're going to do the same on the back. So I'm just going to put some Mod Podge on here, and I'm just going to put a nice even coat of Mod Podge all over the bird, and we're just doing the front and the back. We're not worrying about the sides. Before I got started on all of this, I drilled a hole in the bottom of our bird, so we're going to use a dowel rod in a little bit to attach this to our floral design. So now that we've got the Mod Podge on here, I'm just going to dry this real quick, and then we're going to use the iron method to put our napkin on. Let me dry this. So when I was preparing the bird, I painted it with just a light coat of white chalk paint. And this is the napkin that I'm using. You can see I've already used one corner on this side. And we're just going to use this corner and lay it on our bird. Now, I don't know who developed this iron method for Mod Podge, but it's amazing. It works really, really well. So you just want to dry your Mod Podge on your object, then lay your napkin down. Now, I've already used this napkin, so I've already taken the extra ply off, but you want to make sure that you're just using the one ply. Lay your napkin down. Then you're going to use a piece of parchment paper, lay that on top, and just a hot iron, no steam, and you're just going to iron that on. Now what this does is it activates the glue and glues that napkin right to the object, and no wrinkles. You don't have to worry about tearing your napkin because the Mod Podge is already dry. And so this is just a really quick and easy way to get a nice smooth finish on your project. Just takes a couple of seconds to get that attached. We'll set our parchment paper aside, and I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to trim this off, and then we're going to use a nail file to get really up close to the bird. Trim as much excess off as you can. And the good thing about these napkins is that they have 4 panels with the print on them, so I can use this again for another project. So I'm just going to set that aside. I got my little nail file and just file around the edges, and this makes you have a nice finished edge on your project. It just trims that paper off really nicely. Okay. Continue all around. See how that's just filing that off, giving us a nice finished edge. You can do this with a sanding block, but on these small objects, a little fingernail file works really great. And I believe I got these, a set of these at Walmart for just a couple of dollars. Just little small fingernail files. And then just go around and make sure you got all the edges nice and trimmed off. Okay, so there's our finished bird, nice and covered with our pretty napkin. So I'm going to go ahead and add our dowel rod to the bottom, and I want this to go, like I said, I drilled a hole in here, so we're going to glue this in here, and then I'm going to cut it off a couple of inches so it will go down into our foam. So I've got my hot glue going. Just put some in the hole. And glue that in. And then I'm just going to use a pair of cutters to just cut this down. This isn't super thick. And we may need to trim it more once we get to that point in our project. But we'll just go, go ahead and trim it off. And then we're going to set this aside until we get ready to use that. Right. Alright, so we're done with the iron. I'm going to turn this off and get it out of the way. Now, before I got on, I went ahead and trimmed down this piece of floral foam, and this is just one that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I wanted it to fit all the way down inside here, nice and tight. Now this is way too tall, so we're going to use our just our utility knife here, and we're going to cut that off. We just want a couple of inches up above. That off like that. We'll save this piece for another project. Okay. All right, now I do want to glue this down into my candlestick to make sure it holds. So I'm just going to put some glue down in here. Stand up so I can see what I'm doing. Get a good bit of glue down in there. And then glue that in so it holds nicely. And I can take my knife and kind of straighten this out. It's a little crooked. So you can just carve at it until you get it the way you want it. It's really easy to cut. Okay. All right. So there's that. So our bird is going to sit here in the middle. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a hole in here. Let's see. Okay, that's perfect. So that's where our bird is going to sit, right in the middle. Now, I've got some grapevine that I cut up an old I had a grapevine garland that I had a while back, and I cut some of this up because what we're going to do is we're going to create kind of a little cage with this. So I'm just going to start pulling pieces out, and then I'm just going to start sticking it in, kind of going around our bird. And that's why I wanted to go and put the bird in, so I can make sure that that it fits nicely inside of there. We're leaving it enough space for the bird. Okay, we're just going to kind of go around, creating this little cage effect. Okay, can you see that? And this was a nice long garland, so I just kind of cut off some pieces that I thought would be long enough to kind of go around. And some are going to be longer, taller than others, and that's okay. We're going to use some other greenery as well. And I'm just tucking it in right here at the base of the candlestick and creating a nice little cage shape for our bird. And if it's too big and you want to make it shorter, you can always just cut this down. I just cut this with scissors. It was super easy. Some grapevine, especially if you use a wreath, it might be thicker. So you want to take that into account. I'm just crossing these over. And tucking it in. Okay. So that. Okay. This piece has some little, I don't know if you can see that, it's got some little curly cues holding a couple of pieces together there, so that's perfectly fine. I'm going to cut some of this off to make it a little bit shorter. Alright, do a couple more of these. I'm just weaving them in, so if it's shorter than some of the other ones, I'm sliding them under. Okay, so we're going to stop right there, and we may add some more as, but I want to put some greenery in before I put any more of this grapevine on. So I want the greenery to kind of cascade down and fill in around our bird. So I've got a bunch of different pieces of greenery that I've had left over from other projects. So this is just some little pieces of ivy. And then I've got, let me grab some of this down here. So I've got some of just one bush of this that we're going to use to come down the sides. And then I have some of this that looks like fern. That we're going to use to cascade down as well. So I'm just going to start filling in. And I'm going to use these smaller pieces, and I'm going to put them right up next to our bird. Just like this. And I want to cover up as much of this greenery, of this floral foam as I can. And so I'm just pushing this in. And I can tuck it around the grapevine. Okay. And these are pieces that I have just saved over time as I've worked on other projects and had little pieces left over. I keep a bag of just greenery pieces just for little projects like this, so that as if your stems are too long, just trim them down. I want these to be short. I don't want to cover up our bird. I want you to still be able to see the bird, but I do want to cover up this floral foam. So we'll just keep pulling these out. Let's see. And I just put some in this basket, and I've got a whole bag of greenery that we can pull from. And so I'm just going to keep adding pieces in. And I've got some flowers that I'm going to add in too. So we'll put in this greenery, and then we'll put in some flowers. Okay. And you can use hot glue to put your leaves in if you want to. Okay. I like to get the foundation of the greenery done, and then we'll put the flowers in. We can accent with some other pieces as well. Okay. Okay, so we've got that in. So I want to start bringing some down to hang down on the sides. Let's see, let's use this fern. I ordered this fern from Amazon, and so I'm just going to cut this up into some pieces, and we're just going to stick it in so that it kind of cascades down the sides. Like that. And just keep working your way around. Okay. This is something that we can put out, and it's springy, and we can leave it out into the summer. Pull our bird up a little bit. Okay. So this can be a decoration that you leave out. If you wanted to create it just for Easter, you could put a bunny in the middle, and then after Easter's over, you can take the bunny out and put a bird in, or put something else in there, or nothing. You could just have flowers. A lot of the ones that I've seen that were the inspiration on Pinterest were just floral. They didn't have a bird or anything in the middle, but this kind of reminded me of a bird cage, and so I thought that would be cute to have one of these little birds in there. Right. Keep going. Just adding in and filling in around our bird. Okay. And I'm just turning it and filling in as I go. Just putting things, I am putting things where I think it needs a little something to cover up. We want to cover up our floral foam. I am not a florist. I just do what I think I like and what I think looks good to me. So I'm not a professional florist by any means, but I like to have pretty greenery around. And I'm just weaving this in through these grapevine branches. Okay, so some of these are a little too tall on the top, so I'm going to cut them down, make them a little shorter, and then just poke them right back in. And that's the great thing about using this floral foam is if you you don't like something and you haven't glued it in, you can always take it out and move it, put it somewhere else, and keep just playing around with it until you get it how you like it. Okay, so I'm going to take a few of these little fronds from the fern and put them in up around the bird, so kind of in with this ivy. And now they're going to go kind of, instead of going in like this, I'm going to go in like this. Start pulling them up towards the top. Just playing around until I get the look that I want and that I like. And I'm just cutting little pieces off like this. Now, when I was going down, I was doing much longer pieces so they would drape down. But now that I'm going up, again, I don't want to cover up our bird. You want to be able to see the bird in there, so I'm cutting these smaller and just sticking them in to fill in. And again, if you want to, you can use glue. Sometimes I see other crafters that they'll put it in and figure out if that's where they like it, and then they'll pull it out and they'll glue it, and that's fine if you want to do that. I like to reuse things, so if I don't glue it in, then I can always take this apart and use different flowers, use the greenery again on a different project. But you do whatever you like. Okay? Alright, so I think I like the way that's looking. This one, let's see. Okay. Okay. So I'm liking the way that's looking. I've got a lot of the foam is covered. It's hanging down really nicely. So I think we're done with the greenery part. So I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to start with some flowers. So I've had these flowers for a while. And I just like the shade of these. They're kind of a peach color. I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to be. I think these are maybe peonies. I don't know. The tag is long gone, and like I said, I've had them for a couple of years, so I'm not sure exactly what they are. But there's 3 of these, so we're going to use all 3 of these, and I'm going to cut them kind of short. Again, we don't want to cover up our bird, and as you see, I'm cutting these off, but I've got all this greenery left. I'm not throwing that away. I'm going to save that greenery because we can always use it for another project. Okay, so now I'm just going to go in with these, and I'm just going to stick them. I may need to cut them down even more. Let's see. Cut this down a little shorter, and then we're just going to stick them at the base of the bird. Make sure I get it in the floral foam. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then we'll cut this one down, and we'll do the same thing. So that one's there. We'll put one towards the front of the bird. And this way, no matter where I set this, it will look nice. So, so I've got one here, and then I put one here, and then we're going to put one over towards this side back here. Okay. And if you notice, this has a really pretty pink flower. Let's see if I can get that in the camera. It's got a pretty pink flower right up here at the top of the bird. So it kind of matches these, the color of these peachy flowers. Floral foam is getting a little full, so it's getting a little more challenging to get these to stay in. Okay. I want to be careful and not break. Okay, so there's that. Now these have a little hanging aspect to them. So I thought these would be really cute to add to our kind of draping greenery. So I'm just going to kind of stick these in here or there to kind of drape down in with that greenery. It's really cute. And I'm just going to put them, spread them out around, adding them in to just kind of drape down with that fern. Okay. And I'm just cutting this. So this is one branch, and I'm cutting it into 2 pieces. And then just going in up into the foam, just like I did with those ferny hanging down pieces. My floral foam's getting full, so it's getting a little more difficult to get those in, but we're going to keep working at it. Okay. 2 more pieces. So let's see. We need one here. Okay. One here. Oh. Let's see. One here. Okay, so that's what we have so far. It's looking nice. Okay, now the last thing I have that I wanted to use um, is, oops, I got these, like Pussy Willow. And these came from the Dollar General. They were $3 a stem, and I got a couple of these. So I'm going to cut these off kind of long. This middle one's thicker. Okay. Alright, and so what I'm going to do with these is I want to take them and stick them in and then curve them to kind of go along the top of these grapevines. Okay, so I'm going to stick one in kind of at the base. Okay, and then I'm going to weave it kind of through these. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm weaving it in just around that grapevine. Okay, and so it's following the grapevine, going around just like that. So I'm going to put a couple of these in and see how I've bent this one. Let's see if I can hold it up. I bent it so it'll go in, and then we'll weave it through. Just kind of go through here. You can follow the line of that grapevine. Okay, it's like that. And then I'm going to bend this one. This is that center one, so I cut a little angle point on it to make it go in a little easier into our foam. And I'm just putting these right next to one of the grapevine stems, tucking it in, and then we're just going to weave it through so that it follows that curve. The grapevine. Let's see. Okay. Weave it through there. Oops. Bending it a little more so to make sure it goes in like we want it. Okay. All right. Okay. Alright, so it's a little wild looking, but that's what it was supposed to be. And you just kind of move your greenery around until you get it to look like you want it. But there we have it, our little bird in its cage of greenery. So this will be a nice piece to put on a mantle, a shelf, a table, entry table. So it'll probably go on my entry table. And it can stay out throughout spring, even into summer. If you want to change out some of the blooms or change out the center decoration, you can always do that. So thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you give something like this a try. It's a different use for an old candlestick. And of course, if you get tired of this, you can always pull that floral foam out of the middle and put a candle back in it and use it for something else. But again, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me pull it down so you can kind of see it. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.